What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, whether you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening in at the audio version, wherever you get your podcast, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Help us out. Give us a subscription. We're earning the subscriptions. We're trying to, at least. Right now, we're 2 away from 100, which will give us our custom URL. So, hopefully, by the time you listen to this, we'll be at 100. But if not, just subscribe. Just do it. Just do it. Then, after
just
you
create
subscribe,
a couple new email addresses. Come on,
exactly,
no big deal.
exactly. Then, after you subscribe, make sure you come back here every Wednesday to see what we're talking about. Kind of like this week's topic, we are doing our top 3 favorite TV finales, like series finales, not season finales. I had to check that with the guys because I've watched more season finales than series finales. So it's going to be good.
That's not like a bold statement. I mean, basically every show has multiple season finales and only one series finale. So
true, it's true.
It's
but
true.
I am Brody Hanson, joined by.
I'm Charlie.
I'm too dumb.
All right, guys. Well, should we get right into it? Should we just go
Yeah.
straight into the lists? Why the people
Should.
clicked on this, right?
Of course.
Oh, man. Yes. I had a harder time with this list. I realized that I have not watched very many shows to completion. I've watched a lot of shows, but not all the way to the season finale.
Season.
This was a hard list for me,
Series
but for,
finale. I'm sorry,
for
series
very
finale.
different for very different reasons. I had a really hard time trimming this down to 3. Really hard. I would have loved to have had a top 10 or even maybe even 15,
man.
just so I could walk it through.
Yes, this
This was tough. This is tough.
episode
Tough.
came at request of our resident TV guy, Charlie. So every once in a while, we got to do a TV thing. Otherwise, he gets angry with us. So now we're doing our TV thing.
Throw
We're
him a
children
bone.
of the 80s, man. We got to do television stuff. Nowadays, television is just like movies.
They're the same thing now. All right. Well, Dylan, how did you do this? How was this easy for you or was this hard for you?
The first one of mine was pretty easy because I have loved this series finale for a while. Like as soon as I saw it, it was in my mind, and I'll be kind of surprised if it's not in at least Charlie's. But I mean, I love the number 1. Number 2 was a little bit tricky, and then number 3, I kind of had to figure it out because I was going through different shows, and some of them didn't have any series finales, and some of them did, and it was no good. But I went with how I went emotionally. I went with emotionally.
All right. All right. Now, with my list, I went off of just the episode, the series finale episode, not the final season, just the episode.
Right.
I have to stress that because some of the
I did that
seasons
too.
were not great, but I liked the episode. All right. I don't remember who's going
Dig in.
first. So let's see. I think it might be me.
Reveal it.
It is me. And it's The Office. This was that justification of I liked the series finale episode, the wedding between Dwight and what's her name? Angela. I liked that. I liked having Michael come back. I still remember his comment of, it's like all my kids grew up and got married to each other, which I still think is a funny comment. The last couple seasons, not great. But I really enjoyed this one. It was a nice farewell. I'm a sucker for happy endings. As you'll probably tell through the rest of my list. I like a happy ending. I don't want a downer ending. I want a happy ending. So if they can give that to me, they've done a good job.
Yeah, this wasn't a bad finale. It did make my list, but it's a fun show. Yeah, the last like after they did the documentary is real thing. It's kind of I'm irritating Amy. We're kind of rewatching this a little bit.
Are you really?
And keep like whether it's like Andy dating a high school girl, and I'm like, yeah, and they just filmed that in the documentary, and he's like, hey, no big deal, or like putting putting anyway. There's like lawsuits like everywhere. The more if you try to make it real, the whole show falls apart.
Sure.
It was a disappointing turn, but the ending was very pretty and beautiful and sweet. I wish they'd done that Dwight spinoff. Would have been fun.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Huh? That never. Did they start filming that, or did they just?
They filmed one episode. I think it's on like it might even be on one of the DVDs or on the streaming.
Oh, really? The Shroot Farms or whatever.
Yeah.
But they made it into an episode of The Office because they had that was going to be their segue, and then it never went any further. So they're like, we'll just put this on as an episode of The Office.
There you go. All right. Well, next up, I believe is Tudong. We'll see. It is.
Hey, it is. Now this one was kind of tricky for me because although like you were saying, I like happier endings too, and this one seemed a little bit on the sad side. You've got Abed, you've got Annie. Spoilers, obviously, this is a series finale. They're going to LA. There's supposed to be 6 seasons in a movie, and there's no movie that's going to be happening. But several of the characters had already left. And I'll be honest, like it's tough for me watching Jeff Winger. Like he wanted to get out of there, and then he was trying to make it so they were going to stay, and the very people who he wanted to stay had made him stay, and now are going to go. And so I like the fact that he where he wound up. Like they had gone, and they were going to do more things with their life. He knew where he wanted to be. He wanted to be at Greendale, and Britta and Chang and the dean, they're all there still with him, and some of the other folks. So it wasn't as thinking about it made me reevaluate it, because it was kind of sad, and then you look at some more hopeful.
Yeah, no, this is a good one.
Yeah, this is on my just missed list. So this definitely would have been in the top 10. It's a great finale. I think it was really clever the way they did it with the different pitching the different story ideas. I thought that was really neat, and I'm really glad they got to do that, because there was this is a show that as soon as I found it, I fell in love with it, and you just it kept being on the bubble, like it's gonna get canceled, and then Yahoo picked it up for that little mini run, and I'm glad they got to end it nicely. But it is sad, like watching this one, like I do get a little teary. I'm like,
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, as with a lot of the shows that I haven't just watched when I was like younger, this is one of those shows that once again Charlie had introduced me to. He was like, "You got to check this out." And as always, each time I do that, I'm like, "How did I not find this before? What happened?"
Yeah, Charlie introduced this to me too. I think he just had the DVDs just sent to my house. And then was like with a note that said like, "Call me when you're done watching this" or something like that.
as soon as Abed did his Batman impression in season 1, I was like, all right, we gotta get this to Brody.
All right, good pick, Tudong. All right,
Thank
Charlie.
You,
my number 3. My Blender shirt on. Futurama is such a good show, and I've been rewatching this a little bit here or there, and season 5, the season it was canceled, is one of the best seasons of television in the history of adult animated Fox television shows. And I put it up against non-animated shows too. What a great season. Some really well done episodes. I wish they wouldn't have canceled it, because the new seasons, once it came back, were a little uneven. But that's perfectly understandable, because the show was gone, and then they did like 3 random movies, and then the show came back because it was so good. But this finale, after all the journeys that this particular crew had been on, and you've been on with them, I found it to be I don't know how spoilerish we want to be with these, so I'm just gonna say that I found it to be an incredibly romantic episode, both in terms of like the romance for the show, just like feeling like a connection to the characters. And then I found it to be also kind of like a romantic episode that I enjoyed with my wife. And it's, one of the quotes there, if I could pick one moment to last forever, it would be this moment. It has become one of our my wife and I's kind of like little kind of go-to quotes that we like, just like the idea of being with someone that you could freeze time with and just be perfectly content to grow old with in a frozen time landscape. But the way that they're really clever, the way they kind of wrap the ending back into the start of the show again. It's kind of like, let's go around again, let's watch it one more time. It's like a really, really clever, really sweet, well done ending. And it's a hard show to end. I was real nervous about the finale. as with a lot of shows, once you kind of live with the characters long enough, and you kind of have a certain affection for a show and for characters, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes leading up to that finale, because you just don't know if they're gonna pull a Seinfeld on you, or if it's gonna be good.
I don't think I've ever seen an episode of this show.
Oh, start at the beginning and just watch it all. It's great.
How many seasons are there?
Too many for you.
Oh man!
It was five seasons, and then it was canceled, and then there was 3 movies that they just kind of call seasons now, and then it came back for a few more seasons after that. So
how many episodes per season?
It depends on the season. The first episode was a short order, and then then you get to your classic, like 22, 23.
Oh gosh, that's way too long.
17. It's a lot of episodes.
Can't do it.
You shouldn't sigh. It's a good thing. When it's a good show, you want more episodes. Like that's a good thing.
So long.
It's like getting your paycheck and being like, oh man, there's just too many zeros. Can we cut a few of these zeros out here?
I can't relate to that.
Oh,
they're fast. It's like 22 minutes, bro. Come on.
This is why you should get back to It's Always Sunny, bro. It's only like 10 episodes after a couple of seasons. You shoot right through them in a night.
Yeah, there's like 20 seasons.
It's only 140 episodes, Brody. 140 episodes.
Oh my gosh, Charlie.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Can I just watch the series finale and be good?
But you can pick, if you want. I will curate for you select episodes from each season, like a best of, and I will, and this goes for any of our viewers out there. If you don't want to watch 140 episodes of fantastic television, I will curate it down to like 20 episodes that are essential of the best, and then you watch those, and then you can enjoy the finale.
Maybe. We'll see.
That's intriguing. Come on, what are you talking about, bro? I mean, he's going to curate the whole thing for you? I say yes.
One season.
Oh, good. All right, number 2. My number 2, Silicon Valley. Now, some people didn't like the end of this. I had read some stuff. They didn't like... Charlie, were you one of those people?
Oh, you and I talked about it. I wasn't like super stoked in the ending, but go on. You go on.
It ends with a time jump, which I know some people don't like. It's a couple years later after the events of the season, or the series, I should say. But I liked it. It's one of those, like it time jumps and everybody's like moved on and everybody's happy, and it's especially in a show that you've got these guys that are always stressed out and always like struggling to then jump forward and have them be happy was a nice thing, I thought. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this show. This was one that I really liked. It's not too long. It's only a couple seasons. I think it's only like 4 seasons. It's HBO, so there's probably only like 8 episodes.
It's more than 20.
Well, this one's really good, especially for a tech geek like me. It spoke to me. So, but to have that ending and just to see them all like in a good place, after a stressful series of things that they had to go through. So I liked it. I can understand why some people didn't, but made me feel good. Silicon Valley.
Nice.
All right. Two Dongs, number 2.
Two Dongs, number 2. It will surprise you, but it is Cheers.
That's not surprising. Not surprising at all.
I was when I was younger, I would watch you watch Cheers with the whole family, then you watch Frasier with the whole family, and I'm going to admit, as much as I would revisit Frasier a lot more, I was not a fan of exactly how it ended. It was one of those you're like, come on, man, what kind of like. But when it came to Cheers, spoiler alert for anybody who has not finished Cheers yet,
for a 40-year-old show.
I think they did a really. It was like, how many years ago? It was over 20 years ago. But I mean, I love how they kind of, they ended things, quote unquote. And I mean, like, things kind of kept going with Frasier and all that. But I thought that it was great, like with Norm and saying, hey, there's always one thing that you always truly love. And he even had said, like, Sam Malone had said, that the only things he enjoyed were women, baseball, and running the bar. And the very first thing that you see when Cheers started. You see him walking out from the back, and then there's a kid, and he's trying to pretend like he's not, he's asking for a beer underage and all that. And he walks out like after the last person, after Norm leaves, and after there's another customer, we don't know who it is, and he's, he just says, "Hey, we're closed," and he goes back into the bar right like when he came in. I thought it was beautiful, and I thought it was hopeful. And then you kind of get a little bit more in Frasier, where they, you even go back and you see some of the characters again. So I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great, and every time I revisit it, I'm just like, that's how you end a television show. You don't. I mean, it's subtle, it's funny, it's heartwarming. People are going places. I thought it was great.
There you go. 11
I was really happy they didn't force Sam and Diane back together. I was really thrilled that wasn't how they chose to end it.
I'm so glad too. That was so. You go back and you're just like, what? Yeah, I'm glad that also, and it also showed he's not gonna finally get back now. That chapter is literally done. There's no going back with that. Yeah. I hope.
Well, it was interesting, like the first time watching Frasier and then having those Cheers characters, kind of like it's almost like an extended Cheers finale. Having them pop up in the show.
How good you get Sam, and then you get Woody, and then he goes back to Boston, but not two Cheers. But I mean, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was so cool.
Good stuff.
Cool. All right, moving on to Charlie's number 2. I don't know what that
number
is.
2. So ever since I was a kid, my family has.
Oh, is that Psych?
Does not have a lot of things.
That's Psych.
It is. Yeah. So my family does not have a lot of things that we did together through the years. We are all very different, and but one of the things that my parents did watch a lot when I was a kid were murder mystery shows like Columbo and Perry Mason and Murder, She Wrote, things like that. Yeah. And so, from a young boy, I was kind of indoctrinated into this, like Moonlighting and Remington Steele, and just having like a detective show, like a 45 minutes or a half hour, whatever it may be, just like some kind of crime fighting loose cannon non-police officer television show. And then USA came out with Monk, and then followed up with Psych. And Psych I fell in love with. The bromance between the main characters, the chemistry there, actually, the whole cast was just phenomenal. It's really funny, and then just really nice. I think just character development across the years. And this is one of those shows where I was curious to see how they ended it. I just thought they did a great job, kind of wrapping it up in a way where you kind of like feel like, okay, good, like it ended like romantically, but also kind of like open-endedly, and they kind of even tied in a little bit of Monk, where he's up in San Francisco now, and he's like, oh, we already got a guy, because Monk took place in San Francisco. Anyway, it's a good show. And now there's 3 movies that have followed, and those have been entertaining as well. So my wife and I enjoy those. But just as far as the series finale go, this was one of my favorites. I think it's one that I could rewatch consistently. And Gus is just he's a scene stealer in this. So it's a really good show. If you haven't watched it, I recommend it. Brody, I can pick out the best 8 episodes for you, I guess. I don't know. This one's shorter runs, but they're longer episodes, so I can set you up with a best of list.
I think I watched this for a little bit. Didn't stick with it.
It was 8 seasons.
I don't remember why.
And then 3 movies.
That's a lot. Yeah, and then I knew they had like brought it back because I think I was on Peacock recently watching something WWE, and I saw some Psych stuff. So.
Yeah, it's just a fun show. It's a really, I think a really well done hour of television.
Nice, cool,
very cool.
All right, and the number ones. Mine is Community.
Whoa!
Hey,
I really enjoyed this, especially for this is why I didn't really have much to say when Tudong was talking about it. I was like, oh, that's my number 1. Do I say something now and spoil it? But yeah, like for kind of the struggles that this show went through, with starting super strong and then losing Dan Harmon and then kind of getting shifted around and then eventually winding up on Yahoo of all places, like just a weird series of events for this show. And so for them to be able to have this finale where they are able to think about like, oh, what would what would season 7, be, where they're talking about like, oh, the seventh year, and they're equating it to seasons, and so they're kind of like spitballing ideas, and they're all fantasizing about what a seventh season would look like, and it was really sweet, and it tied stuff up, and we were able to see Jeff kind of remain at the school, and some people stay and some people go, and it was really nice. I was really, really glad that they were able to end this in a way that I think Dan Harmon, who they eventually did bring back, kind of wanted to end it. So this was a good one. I really enjoyed this one. This is a show that I want to revisit. I want to watch this whole series again, and I'm glad.
Hulu, bro. It's on Hulu.
It's also on Netflix. The whole thing's on Netflix too.
Or instead of rewatching 6 seasons of this, I could set you up with 40 episodes of Futurama.
We'll see. But yeah, this is a really good show, and I really like the way that it ended. So. There's my number 1. All right, Tudong, your number 1.
My number 1. Now this is kind of a classic, and I wasn't a severely huge fan of this particular show. I liked it, and it was one of those things like you watch on Nick at Night. It's before my time kind of a thing, and as I was going. But mine is Newhart. And why exactly, why would anybody even be curious about this? Now, when I saw the ending of this, now there was a show that Bob Newhart did before Newhart, and it was called The Bob Newhart Show. He played a psychiatrist or something like that, and he had a wife, and she, excellent actress, whose name I'm forgetting, dark brunette hair, and it was great. It was all sorts of workplace and home, all this kind of stuff. He ended that show, and they go into this show, and for I think 8 or so seasons, I think 7 or 8 seasons, he's working running like a bed and breakfast or something. I'm not sure. But the thing that I love about this, and I was just like, what the hey? And when it happened, this ending, he basically, everything kind of wraps up really nicely. And next thing you know, he wakes up from like a dream, and he sits up and he's like, oh, I had the weirdest dream. And next to him is his wife from the Bob Newhart show. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I was married to a blonde. And I was like running a bed and breakfast or something, and she's like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense." Something or another. They satirized this with Breaking Bad, with a fake show where he wakes up and he's doing next to the girl, like when he was doing Malcolm in the Middle. That was a satire on this finale right here. And when it happened, I was just like, "What the heck?" Because I just watched the Bob Newhart show, and now we're watching Newhart, and suddenly he's the same person. This was all just a dream. Usually that would be upsetting, but I thought it was just so funny how they did it. It was perfect.
Interesting. Can't say
Suzanne Pleshette is the actress.
Suzanne Pleshette. She was excellent. Absolutely. Yeah. But it was really funny. Anybody who's going to watch one of these kinds of things, if you watch the Bob Newhart show, they're really fun shows. They're really fun. But I mean, the ending is so funny. It's just great.
I've never seen an episode of Newhart or the Bob Newhart show.
Bob Newhart's fantastic. Come on, man. He was at the very end of what is that? How to Murder Your Boss or something like that, with Jason Bateman. He was his boss. At
Horrible Bosses.
Horrible Bosses. How to Murder Your Boss or Horrible Bosses. That's in Europe. They're called How to Murder Your Boss or something like that.
You've been watching some different videos there, Dylan. That's typing in things on YouTube.
Yeah. How to Murder Your Boss. Yeah. Starring Jason Bateman. But it was really funny. It's excellent. Anybody if you're just going to watch it, that's hilarious, I thought.
Well, there you go. Newhart. Tudong's number 1. All right, Charlie, you're number 1.
My number 1 is I think the greatest television finale in the history of television. And this is by far my least favorite show of all the ones on my list. But the finale, so the show debuted in 2001 on HBO, and this was back, you get The Sopranos and 6 Feet Under, and it was just nothing like it on television. And this is based in a mortuary, and every episode starts with someone's death. And so you see how they die, and then they're in the mortuary. and this family. And if you've never seen this, I would really recommend watching season 1. And if you like it, you keep going. If you don't like it, if by the end of season 1 you're like, this is terrible, then maybe watch like a select number of episodes that I could curate for you, and then watch the finale, because it's the best thing that has ever been done in television. Wow. I watched the finale and I immediately called my friend Cass, and I was like, oh my God, have you seen this? She's like, oh my God. And we just like talked about it, and I thought about it constantly for like days after, just like I couldn't get it out of my brain. It was so good. And this doesn't spoil anything. I'll just tell you how they kind of constructed the finale, because there was so much like in music, you build dissonance and then you release into these beautiful chords to kind of create this kind of sense of like, tension and release, this kind of like, and we do this with storytelling too. You create tension with characters and then you release it. Now in a sitcom, that happens very quickly. You have 20 minutes to like create a little bit of conflict and then to resolve it. And then with some of these like hour-long shows, maybe it takes a few episodes or even longer. They did this for like 5 seasons of tension. And so it's just kind of like, just by the end, it was like, oh my God, there's inventing ways for these characters to be unlikable and just to cause like conflict between them. And it's just like so irritating. I found myself wanting to skip episodes. Wow. And then anytime a character like snuck in there to be a little bit likable, they found a way to like try to, now maybe not as likable as you thought. Because it was, it wasn't TV, it was HBO. So they had to be a little edgy and kind of, do things a little different. But the finale takes you through the death of each of the main characters. It fast forwards through their life, and not just like to their death point. You get to see them kind of growing old and going through these things. And then you see the way that they die, and it kind of shows you like the like wraps up each character's story and like this poignant kind of like montage. The music is just perfect, and it's just kind of streaming through these ends in a way that like has been mimicked since, with time jumps and things where they kind of wrap the story up, but never duplicated in the same way. Just such a beautiful like, and fit so perfectly with the tone of the show and how they would start each episode with like the death of a character, to be able to see all the different characters and have Claire's character live to be 100 and surrounded by her family and all these photos and a beautiful like emotional ending. And really kind of like a bright spot, like this. It's like all this tension. If you watch the whole show, all this tension you build up, and then all of a sudden, finally, it's like this. Wow, and it just left me breathless for a while. So this one, I think, is just a really well done piece of television. And as you can tell, I was blown away by it as a young man. I think it holds up really well still.
Would I like this show?
I think you should watch season 1. Any episode that Rainn Wilson is in, because Rainn Wilson is absolutely phenomenal in this show. I think you can skip a couple of seasons, or just like skip around a little bit. Don't be afraid to fast forward when things get really irritating, and then watch the finale. And look, you could watch just the finale, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." It won't resonate, like it'd be like watching the last episode of The Office and going like, "Oh, okay, Dwight and Angela are getting married, whoever they are." Sure. Michael Scott's back, whoever he is. Great. So you do kind of need to watch it to kind of, I think, have an emotional resonance of, but you could get away with just watch the first season. If you like it, then it's short, just like 8 episodes, short.
HBO makes it easy to watch stuff because they're short episodes, short seasons. Episodes can be kind of long. But
Michael C. Hall
is the same thing.
Is so good in this. If you're a fan of Michael C. Hall, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, he's a phenomenal actor. Phenomenal. He is arguably better in this than Dexter. Really, really good.
Interesting.
The whole cast, really phenomenal cast.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've heard about it. Never seen it though.
Me neither.
Apparently, there's a lot of shows I've never seen though.
Yeah. You're never gonna watch it, but that's all right. Maybe someone out there will be inspired. You go try it out and see if you can stomach it for.
Go check it out, and then come back here and tell us whether you liked it. So there you go. There is our top 3 favorite series finales. All right, guys. Do you have anything else to add?
Quick shout out to 30 Rock and to Superstore, Parks and Rec, Scrubs. Beautiful finales. I didn't quite make the list. So many good shows out there. If you need some TV recs, let me know.
We've got episodes.
I've seen too much television.
We've got episodes about TV. Pardon? I'll put a little pop-up thing.
No, I said yeah. I'm saying if you people out there watching, if you guys maybe you're stuck and you need a new TV show to watch, let me know. what you
Take
like,
Charlie up
what
on
you've
his
seen.
curating.
I'll curate for you. You say, give me 12 episodes of 6 Feet Under to watch. I got you covered.
There we go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and Charlie, bring us home.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this, and which is not our series finale, but it is our evening finale. We thank you for joining us. Feel free to kick some more videos if you want to roll into the next episode. There's more down here. Make sure you do hit that like button, and thank you for subscribing. If you have subscribed, really appreciate that. You have really kind of just brought that bearded man over there, especially, some real joy. Look at that smile on his face. You can't beat that. That feeling of causing that smile. That's you. You did that. Good. You did that. Thank you.
Good. All right.
See you next time.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye, folks.